Hello, yay! Hello,
Hello.
Alec. Welcome to our D&D deep dive at
Yes.
DN deep dive at D&D in a castle. There's a lot of D's in that
Right.
sentence. It's great to have you. I'm Tara, co-founder of D&D in a Castle, and we're here today with Alec the Bard, or just Alec, um, to talk about D&D in a Castle coming up in spring of 2025 at Lumley Castle. You'll be with us March 24th to 28th.
Yes.
Running a campaign, an epic story for 6 lucky players. How are you
hmm
today, Alec?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here, and I'm super excited for this opportunity next year. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to dig into it and chat a little bit today.
Yeah, I love that. Why don't you take us into the campaign that you're planning
hmm
to run at D&D Castle without spoilers? But
Right.
what's it going to be all about?
So when I was kind of racking my brain up for what I wanted to run, because I've done a couple of these kind of like weekend experiences and things before, and one of the things that I really try to hone in on when I do these is that it's like an end-to-end complete story, and they don't feel like they've missed out on anything. Because sometimes when you run like bigger modules and things like that, there's stuff that you gotta kind of cut out and cut around. And there's been an idea that's been kicking around in my head for a long time of making a D&D campaign kind of based if you took both Squid Game and Hunger Games and you kind of mushed them together and then added D&D on the
Ooh.
top. So this kind of like competitive, the players are going to have to like search for resources and figure out what's going on and figure out how to pass through these challenges. And so that also lends me a lot of flexibility to kind of add in things that I want as far as like the challenges go, the puzzles go, the type of dungeons that we go. I'm not going to be restricted to a setting because they're going to be in this kind of arena-like plane of existence
Mhm.
where there could be anything and everything in there. So it lends to a lot of flexibility and also allows me to kind of adjust depending on what players I have, so I can change the challenges and things that they'll face and what kind of classes they'll run. And so that's kind of like the very short, without spoilers
Mhm.
version that I'm going to be running this
Mhm.
kind of almost like game show competitive campaign for the week that I'm there.
So will there be like PvP competition, or is it like team against the world kind of competition, or is that too much to give away?
So what I can say is a large majority of it will be team based, will be like the party working against other groups. Kind of in a collaborative manner. Whether PvP comes up or not, I think that's going to be up to the players and the certain things that I present to them, the certain things that I offer up to the table, whether they fight over it or not, or whether they try to make those decisions or not. But hopefully, not all PvP, but it's possible.
It's possible. It's possible. And sounds like there may be like high risk of death. Is this like Hunger Games? It's high risk of death. Is it going to be like a lethal kind of game? Like be
Yes.
prepared.
Yes.
So stakes are high.
One of the things I'm going to go over with the players is to make sure that they have backup characters just in case, and that they have, that they are prepared going in, because that's something that for something like this that I would want to make sure that the whole group knows that like
Mhm.
you play stupid games, you might win super prizes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of thing. And so make sure that they are aware and that they are ready for that type of
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
and make sure everyone's comfortable with that.
Very cool. And so it sounds like for this campaign in particular, um, there's going to be probably a lot of combat, probably a lot of puzzles. Um, is there going to be, a lot of opportunity for role play in that sort of thing? Or is it more kind of like, this is just high action, sit back and enjoy the ride, and we're just going to have fun together doing that? Or is there going to be like a lot of kind of exploration, role play that side as well? How does that come into it?
So the way I've kind of structured it and just kind of dodging spoilers is that there will be built-in times into the game for kind of, I don't know if relief is the word, but like rest in between challenges, in between these phases of this I've called it the Kraken game, instead of Squid Game. It's Kraken game. So there will be times within these phases where they will be able to role play and also like mid challenge and mid puzzles, trying to figure it out. So it's going to be a healthy mix. Combat and puzzle solving and exploration will be a large chunk of it. but there will be a healthy mix of role play and decision making and social games kind of mixed into it.
Cool. And as a DM, all DMs kind of have what they're naturally drawn to and what they kind of bring in terms of their style. What would you say is kind of your thing that people can expect at your game that makes your game yours?
I'm gonna say the thing that people should expect, or like kind of like my thing as a game master, would probably be the gotcha moments. I pride myself on twists and turns in the games and subverting expectations. And also, I have a lot of wild NPCs planned for this, and I love character
Nice.
voices, and I love goofy interactions with players and things like that. So one of the things I'm excited for is to have this kind of heavy, serious death game, but also kind of the levity of like kind of the ridiculousness of the whole setting with these kind of wild NPCs, these almost Mad Maxian style NPCs. So that's kind of, I think I answered it in 4 different answers, but that's kind of what
More
I'm
answers
thinking.
is good. That's what we're here for. We're here for more
Yes.
answers. I just give you questions and let you tell the world about you and your game. What drew you to dungeon mastering? How did you become a DM?
So I started playing Dungeons and Dragons back when I was in elementary school years and years ago, and my friend ran it for years. And then when we both parted ways, and we went to college, pretty much, I wanted to play again. But like I would say like probably 75% of game masters out there, the thing happened where everybody wants to play, but nobody wants to run it. And so I stepped up and I started running a group in college. And I think we started with running Tyranny of Dragons initially, and we did some Pathfinder and stuff. And just kind of from there, I got back in college. This is over a decade ago now. I kind of got the taste for it, and then that trend continued onward. And now I honestly prefer being a game master. I prefer being a dungeon master.
What is it about dungeon mastering that excites you?
I think it's one of the things that lends itself to my theater background. I went to school for theater, and I directed a lot. And I really enjoy setting circumstances and setting a scene and then letting people kind of color it in. That's one of the things I always say about being a game master is the game master builds the canvas around it and then the players paint. You know what I mean? And so providing a space for my friends and for other people to have a good time and to tell a great story, and to get those gotcha moments and things like that. It's just it's one of my favorite parts it's an excuse to get all my friends together and see all my friends with all of our busy lives. But I really enjoy setting a stage for players to tell a story on.
Cool. In games of D&D, or whether they're yours or anyone else's, what, in your view, in your preference and passion, what constitutes a great game of D&D? What makes you leave a game of D&D going, that was a great game? People have different things that they're leave that satisfy them. What for you is the satisfying part of a game of D&D? That if it's right, you're super happy.
I think what makes a game of Dungeons and Dragons or a tabletop role playing game kind of great for me, or like that, it's like I walk away and I'm like, oh, that was amazing. Is that the narrative, everything that happened during the session served the narrative. Whether that was the combat happened because there was a conflict between 2 characters, or the party stumbled into a mess of stuff because they were following, like everything moves forward, if that makes sense. I get very kind of I start to get a little jumpy when things are so stagnant. And then the other thing is that everyone was involved, that everybody had a good time at the table. Because you get some of those players that are a little bit more shy or a little bit more quiet and things like that. And so having either a game master, whether it's me or somebody else, get those people involved and everybody kind of interacted and when everybody gets a piece, you know what I mean? When the story moves forward and everybody at the table got a piece, that's when I walk away and I was like, God, that was a great session.
And when you're running a game, you're dungeon mastering, and in a situation like D&D in a castle, the people don't necessarily know each other. I mean, they will have a chance before to interact and to build character and build rapport and learn about what they need to know before it starts. But they're sitting down together, usually for the first time at the castle. How do you make sure that if you have any, thoughts or ideas about how you approach that for anybody who's anyone else is DMing, or just to hear how you might go about gelling that group and making sure that everybody is balanced and figuring those people out pretty quickly because it goes so fast. How do you approach that?
So I'm gonna pull on my past experience again. And so for years I was a professional ballroom dance instructor, and so I had to teach people of all different walks of life, from a 4-year-old kid to an 80-year-old woman to a married couple that's been together for 30 years to a couple they're getting married in 6 months. So it's like you get people from all walks of life, but everybody kind of has the same thing in common, is that they love to talk about things that they like. Right. And so one of my favorite things to do with a brand new group of people is ask them those, like, it sounds cheesy, but it works all the time. Ask them those cheesy icebreaker questions when they're introducing themselves. When it's like, what was your favorite childhood movie? And then this person says, oh, it was this. And then that person across the table is like, oh, that's a great choice. And it starts to kind of get them chatting and talking. That's like removed from the game, but starts to get them familiar with one another. It's these silly little introductions, but it works all the time to get at least people talking about something that they're comfortable, especially with a new game, because it's new character, new setting. They're in it. Some people may be in another country for the first time, and all these things coming to D&D in a castle. So like, alleviating that with some familiarity is what I've always kind of done, is that when I would take a new student or something like that, I talk to them about something that they already know and they like, and it makes it easier to move into an experience that they're fresh and new to.
Cool. So it sounds like just getting them to connect as humans allows them to feel comfortable participating, and then you can kind of work with them as a group. We try to do that a lot at D&D in a Castle too, with the whole community that's there. So just to remind anybody who's just joining us, Alec is going to be running a game for across the whole event, a single game for only 6 people at D&D in a Castle, March 24th to 28th. And I will say, tickets have just gone live. Not to reserve the individual gaming masters. That's coming in a bit. We're announcing everybody. We're making sure everybody's got the information first. Avoid any rushes and disappointments. So you can just get your registration so that you can come to the event, be at the event, and have the opportunity before everybody else to book your spot at Alec's table. And at D&D in a Castle, so I also do a different kind of dancing, but I love the way that dance breaks down social barriers, or any kind of, it's a collective activity, and it has actually certain elements in common with a game of D&D where you're doing something ridiculous together. And so I'm going to spring this on you. If there was like an opportunity to take your players, say, to a ball at the castle as a kind of LARP field trip, would that be something interesting to you?
Yes, 100%. That sounds wicked cool. I'd love to do that. I even though I am not, working in that arena anymore, I still love dance, and I still love galas and balls and everything like that. So that would be a very, very cool experience for players if we could kind of take a little field trip and go to a ball or go to a gala. I think I could prepare my players, give them a little extra lesson beforehand, but that would be a blast. That would be so fun.
I mean, this is just a thought. Like, that's the beauty of D&D in a Castle, is like, we have a castle and we have people and we have the capacity to be like, you know what, Tara, can we do a ball tomorrow? And like, we can make it happen. Do you think we could create this environment that's so immersive because we have this setting? We can, like, this is not a LARP. D&D in a Castle is not a LARP. It's not a cosplay event. Some people like to indulge in that. There's certainly a lot of crossover, and we celebrate and love all the nerdiness of all the people, and we think it's amazing. But it's not a LARP, and nobody's going to be forced to dance against their will. I want to say that very clearly. But there are opportunities to have fun experiences and just bring them to life on the spot. So that's a cool thing at D&D in a Castle. I want to know. So you're coming to the 24th to 28th, Lumley Castle in the UK.
Yes.
What made you want to come to D&D in a Castle?
It's been kind of one of those things that, ever since I started kind of DMing professionally, D&D in a Castle has always kind of been like something that I saw on the internet and I was like, "Oh, that seems so cool." And I always wanted to participate, cuz it's D&D in a Castle. This is such a unique and fun experience to be a part of. And then as, I kind of moved through my professional GMing career, I was like, I love providing a good experience for people and providing a great game for people. And, from everything that I have seen and heard from my fellow game masters who have walked through your halls or people who have participated, I have a couple of friends who've been through there. They've had a great time. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. I want to see if I can add any value to D&D and Castle and make sure players have a good time and stuff like that. So it's kind of been like one of those things that I was like, I'm going to get there someday and I want to do that. And so that's kind of a good example of like why I would like to be there or why I want to do this.
And you say you've done games in the past that are like multi-day in this kind of format.
Yeah.
For some of our players, and even for some of our DMs, this is a new experience for them. Being able to play in that format, that's neither a one shot, that's sort of like you go in, you do your adventure, you go home. And it's not it's not a home game campaign where you come a few hours each week and it goes forever and the people come and go. It's everyone is there, everyone is committed, everyone's in for the full time. You do a full adventure where you can go deeper than you would in a one shot. It's like a 6-shot adventure.
Right.
How is it different how is the gaming experience different in that kind of format? If you've done this before, how is that differ from the other types of game formats?
So the biggest thing I'd say is expectation. And that's something that like me as the game master or the dungeon masters need to kind of be on top of. You know what I mean? Because when you are doing a home game and it's like every other Tuesday or every other Sunday that you're meeting, you have time, like even if players don't, you have time to work through things. If it's a one shot, the expectation is very clear. There's going to be like, we're going to play for 3 hours tonight and this is all we're going to get. For something like this or an experience like this where we're playing for multiple days, but there's still a beginning and an end, it's checking in with your players really during your session 0 and seeing what they want to get out of the game. Even before the game has begun, what would make this fun for them? What things with their characters would they enjoy? And then taking all of those things and looking at what you have planned and being like, okay, what can I put where? Because there's still, with the amount of time that we're going to be playing at D&D in a Castle, there's a lot of room. There's a lot of wiggle room for fitting some of these things in, even though we have a short amount of time. And then setting those expectations with your players that like, okay, I could cover this, but this long-term goal of you becoming the king of this kingdom, we don't have time for that. I'm so sorry, but like this moment of you want to have a redemption moment. Okay, I got that. I can work that in. So setting those from the get-go, kind of for me has been like kind of the key to make everybody from beginning to end. And they, like they got as much out of it as everybody else did. Because sometimes you get those players that are really excited to be at the table and they try to be this, try to be in the center of everything. And then you have those players who are a little bit more laid back. And I want, whether you are kind of wanting to be in it or laid back, I want everyone to get the same value. And that's by setting expectations.
Cool. When you're, in terms of your approach, your sort of philosophy of D&D, where do you kind of fall on the map/spectrum of sort of really sandboxy versus like really creating the things and driving the players through them? How do you sort of approach that, and what's your kind of philosophy on that side of gaming?
So with tabletop role-playing games, this is my personal style, my personal opinion is you need to have, like, there needs to be freedom, but there also needs to be structure. Because I know for me as a player, if I have too much freedom, I kind of get lost. In video games where you're just kind of like a game like Minecraft, where you're just there, I'm like, I guess I'll follow the story because I don't know what else to do, But then you do get those players who love a lot of freedom. And so the way I've kind of found to balance this is, like I kind of used the example earlier, is that I'm going to build the edges of the canvas, but the players are going to be the ones who paint it. So the players will see where the edges of where they can go are, but they're going to be the ones who make those decisions that paint what actually goes on the canvas. Because then it's a healthy kind of mix of the GM, the DM driving the story, but the players still getting active choice. I think Brendan Lee Mulligan said it, years ago in an interview that with railroading, have your players be the ones who are building the rails. You're just the one who makes sure the train stays on the track. You know what I mean? So that's where it kind of harkens back to my expectations thing. I talk to my players, they tell me what they want, and then I put those things in. Because the GM, like, I get to have fun and stuff like that, but I want to make sure the players are getting what they want out of it, And so it's freedom with a border. That's the best way to put it. Freedom with a border.
Love it. Who do you think? What kind of player do you think would like your game? What kind of player?
I think a player who enjoys problem solving, a player who enjoys role play. If you enjoy being surprised, because spoiler, I very rarely use any official stat blocks. I write pretty much everything myself. So if you enjoy being surprised, problem solving, and if you want to have a good time and not take it too seriously, that is a player who would enjoy sitting at my table. If you enjoy having a great time at the table, but also you're okay with a little bit of levity and a little bit of gravity every now and then, instead of just one or the other, I think those types of players would have a good time with me.
Cool. And let's talk a little bit about you in our last few minutes here, Alec. So you've been known as Alec the Bard on across the places, and I know you had sort of expressed that you're going to be going more into the professional DMing. So give us a little overview of your career in gaming, where you've come from, where you're at, and where you're going. And you feel free to plug anything in that process.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so I started as a TikToker. I started as a content creator and things like that, and I moved into doing actual plays. And then I, moved into start playing when Start Playing started to become a thing for professional GMing. And and I did some streaming, and I did all of these things. So I did a bunch of a mishmash of stuff. But as I've gotten older, and things kind of moved forward, I kind of fell off of like enjoying making content and videos as much. You know what I mean? What I really enjoyed doing was writing, and like writing games and writing stat blocks and things like that, and writing adventures and quests, and so that was the stuff that honestly was paying the bills. I sell my homebrew stuff on my Ko-Fi page, and that's the stuff that that between that and professional GMing, that's what was paying the bills. The videos were kind of, it was nice. It was gas money, but the effort I wasn't putting in at this point, I have a mortgage. So I wasn't getting, the reward back, and it just wasn't serving me anymore. And so I've kind of taken this direction to move more so kind of out of the spotlight as far as a content creator goes. I'm not necessarily considering myself a content creator, and more so moving into professional GMing full time and writing for tabletop role playing games full time. Presently, I'm writing my own game. I haven't announced it yet, so I can't really plug it yet. But I will still be doing actual play content on my YouTube channel, Tales of Novum, which a new episode airs every week of different shows that we're running, because that I still find a lot of joy in. But just taking a little bit more of a backseat approach and running, doing more professional GMing and writing pretty much is kind of what I've moved towards doing. And just being Alec, I've been Alec the Bard for 4 years, and I'm like, I don't want to be Alec the Bard anymore. Kind of has like, I would prefer to just be me, after existing on the internet so publicly for 4 years, I just want to be me for a while.
Cool. What are some of the projects that you've done in the past? You say you've got your stuff on the internet for people to buy your homebrew stuff. Mm-hmm. What kind of stuff is it? Is it under your own title? Have you worked with any other publishers?
What I'm at liberty to say is presently all of the stuff that I have that is presently public is my stuff on my Ko-Fi page. Everything else I can't talk about right now, unfortunately. But there is stuff coming up. I can say that there's some cool things that are in the works.
Watch this space.
Yeah,
Yes.
that are watch for it, but I am presently not at liberty to talk about yet because I signed a piece of paper called an NDA. But there is things that are in the works, and right now I'm presently for myself. I'm working on a classless, like a class agnostic tabletop role playing game called Dungeon Break, which I will be bringing to backer kit here in the next like few months or so. That I've been really excited about and really working into. And then I have my actual play projects like Heroes of Bastion, which was just nominated for 2 categories at the New Jersey Web Fest, which is super exciting.
Well, where can people watch that if they want to see you in action?
Yeah, if you want to see me in action, if you want to see any of my actual play stuff, if you go to Tales of Novum, Novum on YouTube, you can find us on Instagram also, but you can find episodes upon episodes of different shows. There's different types for different folks. There's a superhero show, there's a horror show, a classic D&D show. It's all sorts of stuff up there. So feel free to check that out. And then I've got some more exciting projects kind of coming in the future that, once again, I cannot talk about yet, unfortunately.
Cool. We've got some people very excited, sharing their comments here. Very excited to have you at the castle. Once again, Alec will be at D&D in a Castle, March 24th to 28th at Lumley Castle in the UK, which is a 13th century genuine castle that was involved in the Wars of the Roses and many other exciting things from the medieval period onward. Very atmospheric, very castle-y. If you want to come and play with Alec, you can come to dndinacastle.com. You can find all our events on there. You can find our DMs and read about Alec by clicking on Dungeon Masters. You can read about the event and find out details by clicking on events and selecting D&D in a Castle, and then finding the March 24th to 28th one. And you can see everybody who's going to be there. We've got an amazing lineup of really cool people, and it's just going to be an enormous amount of fun. I'm going to invite you, Alec, to take us out by inviting the viewers to come and play in your game at D&D in a Castle, and tell them why they want to come and play in your game.
All right.
Take it away.
Okay. Elevator pitch. Here we go. If you enjoy exciting twists and turns, if you enjoy goofy NPCs, if you enjoy like the death game genre, if you enjoy Squid Game, Hunger Games, if you enjoy homebrew creatures, if you enjoy having a great time at the table and not taking it too seriously, if you enjoy being included, looked after, and getting some kick-ass miniatures and some kick-ass rewards, I don't know if I could swear here. I'm so sorry. I will be at D&D in a Castle in March, and also I just look forward to starting this new experience and starting these adventures with you. So come on and join me next March, and I will see you then.
We will see you then. Thanks so much for joining us, Alex. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you at the castle.